Alright, in this video I'm going to talk about my experience in reading even Gabirol's book Fons Vitae in Latin, which is not the original language. The original language is Arabic, but apparently the Arabic text was lost a long time ago and has not been found yet. Okay, so reading it in Latin is about as close as you can come to the original source. Okay, just a bit of some very brief information about even Gabirol. Who was even Gabirol? He is a poet and philosopher of Al-Andalus. If I recall correctly, living in the 12th century. I'm not sure of the exact century, but he's living at a time of when there's a lot of, let's say, there's a Jewish culture is flourishing in Spain. There is a Hebrew Renaissance. There's almost a rebirth of the Hebrew language in Al-Andalus. And although apparently it didn't become a spoken language among Jews, it became a language widely used in poetry. So these guys are writing their poetry in Hebrew, but often they're writing their philosophical works in Arabic, because Arabic, of course, is the language of the empire, and Arabic is a prestige language at the time, and it's the language of wire contact and so forth and so forth. But so we have sort of a diglossic situation there. Okay, so now you know a bit about Ibn Gabirol. What is his philosophy? I won't go into great detail because there's even discrepancies among the experts as to what he's actually saying. But to be brief, it's Neoplatonism with all kinds of different possible undercurrents. There's possible undercurrents of different Jewish and Arab philosophers, and as well, of course, as the philosophers of antiquity, like Plato himself. Okay. Actually, what I want to address is not given Gabirol and the work itself, but the fact that I'm reading it in Latin. I have read it. I finished it some time ago. We're looking at what? 387 pages in Latin. Okay, 387 pages in Latin, which it took me about a year to read. I could have read it faster, but I have lots of things on other things I need to be working on, so it took me about a year. I would probably not read this book in one of my stronger languages. I would probably not read it in either English or Spanish or even French, because, well, I mean, it's interesting to a certain extent, but it's not that interesting. I mean, there's a lot of, he tends to repeat himself, it tends to kind of go around in circles, it tends to be very circular, and you always get back to his main points of, what is being, how being is sort of this merging of I guess, form and essence, or whatever. As I said, I don't want to go into that. But it wouldn't be the most interesting book in the world to read in a stronger language. So the point of me reading it in Latin is precisely because it is so repetitious. That words and formula are constantly repeated over and over again. In other words, this is, for me, one of the best ways of practicing the Latin language is to get a hold of a text which is fairly repetitive, which is fairly circular, and I do read it for the philosophical content, but that's not my major focus. My major focus is watching how the language works, watching how the different case endings works with different classes of nouns and adjective, and that type of thing. Okay, so the point is, when you're a language nut, you're going to be reading lots of things in other languages you won't typically read, and your being as a reader is going to be vastly multiplied to all these different linguistic dimensions, I guess. This is just an informal talk about reading.